Hi, I'm Anna with the Preservation Resource Center. I'm here with Michelle Duhan from South Kick Historic Preservation. We're going to talk about pier and beam foundations and talk about some typical masonry issues that you see with these historic brick piers.
So this is a pretty standard brick pier that we've got under a historic house. This guy's in pretty good shape. Still got its lime mortar. I know it's lime because I can scrape it away pretty easily. It's nice and soft. It hasn't been wrapped in concrete. That's great. Issues we do have, you've got some vegetation growing in the mortar joints down here, and it's also just got some kind of moss and dirt on it. Good maintenance tip is just to pull these out of the mortar joints and to keep the joints free of that kind of vegetation. Keeping the weeds away from the pier itself will really help. And honestly, something that you can use to do all of that is just use some vinegar and a soft scrub brush. Scrub with the vinegar, and the vinegar will even help kind of kill some of the weeds.
You could use maybe like Roundup on these piers?
I don't usually recommend using Roundup on something like this. Roundup is pretty aggressive for this historic mortar. It's actually going to change the chemistry, it'll change the pH level, and we don't want to do that. You don't need to get super aggressive, you don't need to use Roundup, just pull the weeds out, you can use some vinegar, that should be all you need.
And when you're pulling out those weeds and you see that maybe some of that mortar is missing, would it be a good idea to repoint?
Doing something as small as just pulling little weeds out of your mortar joints does not mean you have to go back and repoint.
Here we've got a missing weatherboard, and it looks like we could see part of the sill.
We see two sills here that are butt jointed together, and this is important to note. The place where these sills meet, they're sitting on top of a pier. People tend to think sometimes that you could maybe knock a pier down, move it over, but their placement is very intentional. So this shows you why this pier lines up here, and there might even be a more important point load going on inside that wall. So don't just knock your piers down because you could really affect the framing.
So when you said plumb, what exactly do you mean?
Yes, so plumb is a great word. You know, we always use the word level. Level is like this. Plumb is like this. It's straight up and down, you know, level turned 90 degrees. Here we see a pier that is nice and plumb to the sill that's sitting on top of it. That's great.
It does look like we've got some vegetation kind of growing up into the building.
Again, just pull those, get rid of the vegetation. It'll really be a great thing to do for your piers. A lot of piers in New Orleans are getting encased in concrete. A lot of contractors will recommend it. Inspectors even sometimes recommend it. The general thought has been that, oh, concrete fixes everything. Really all this concrete is doing is just hiding the actual condition of the brick pier that's inside of it. And you can actually see what's going on around the corner here. This is a spalling that's happening right there. To me, that's saying that the concrete has trapped some moisture, maybe some other issues with salt, maybe some vegetation in there, and something's got to get out. And so what it's done is like pop the surface of that concrete off, and it's almost like a blister. If you already have concrete on your piers at home, it's not worth trying to take it off. It just kind of is what it is. But I don't recommend encasing brick piers in concrete. It's not going to really solve anything.